I wrote 5 emails for an online coach, sent them to a list of 200 people, and it made him an extra 12.5k in a few days. We didn't need to run any ads, build a new product, or even grow the list because those were leads that were pretty much just sitting in his list collecting dust. And the emails are stupid simple as well. You don't even need to be an A-star copywriter to write them because the strategy behind it is the reason it works so well. So in this video, I'm going to show you a full breakdown of everything so you can just plug and play it into your business and make an extra 10k by the end of this week. So let me show you the 3 systems that we use. First, the drama story sequence, and those are the 5 emails that made us 12.5k. Then we did a little re-engagement play where we went back to his date list and pretty much completely revived about 25% of his list from the graveyard. And finally, the thing that nobody actually does, which is just properly tracking your numbers so every email you send gets better than the last one. So for some context, Sean is a 7-figure health coach with a big audience on YouTube and Instagram. But as you can expect, Sean's a doctor and not a marketer. So he had a list of around 2,000 people, and he was hitting their inbox less than your ex after a breakup. So the first thing we did was build a proper email sequence someone goes through after they opt in for his lead magnet. So around 200 people went through it, and that's where the 12.5k came from. We were marketing a mid-ticket challenge, about 195 with a 20% discount code on it. And as you can see, you don't need to reinvent the wheel to make a quick 12k every month. We send 5 emails over 5 days, and each one has just one goal. Deliver the gift, tell the origin story, reframe the problem, make the offer, and drop a deadline. And for the love of God, please don't try and sell in the first email because you need to earn your right to do so. And that's the whole point of this sequence. The golden rule for emails basically is that every email should make the reader know you a little better than they did before. So email 1 goes out the second that they sign up. And the goal of this email is to get engagement and sell them on reading the rest of the emails. Because you've given them something valuable for free, which in this case would be your lead magnet or the 5-day biofat elimination framework, the chances of them listening to you and doing what you say are much higher because of reciprocity bias, which is why you want to make them take the actions that will make it easier for you to contact them in the future, which I've done with these 2 steps, and the PS asking them a question, what's your biggest struggle right now? Because we want to get a reply, as a reply is the strongest signal that an inbox provider can get that people actually read your stuff. So if people reply to email 1, every email after lands in the primary tab instead of getting lost in promos or spam. Now after 24 to 48 hours, we send email number 2, and it's the most important email in this entire sequence. The subject line here is my near-death experience at 47. Right, so basically we say that, he's 47, he's a doctor, he's fat, exhausted, he's broken, and he can't even play with his kids. Then a patient says a line to him that just completely flips his paradigm, and he ends the email right before the payoff, teasing tomorrow's email. Now, going back to our golden rule, we could have just said that, Sean lost all of the weight with this method, but that doesn't build any connection with our audience, and people connect with each other through stories. That's literally why Jesus taught in stories and metaphors, because he understood us better than anyone else. Sean also opened a loop here and didn't close it. You need to kind of think of it like, an appetizer at a restaurant, and the only reason it is there is so that it makes you even more excited for the next meal. Which is why in the PS, we also provide an opportunity to close that loop by landing on our sales page that will then continue the story. Now, the next day, we are basically reframing their beliefs. So the subject line here is why 99% of health advice fails. This is where Sean closes yesterday's loop for those who have not been through the sales page, and also drops the big idea of how health isn't just one thing you fix, but a chain reaction of everything that you're doing. Now, for those who have already read the sales page, this email just serves as an extra touch point to stay top of mind, with a very non-salesy and broad subject line to increase open rates. Basically, the big idea of this email is that, bad sleep kills your workouts, stress kills your diet, and that's why nothing that you've tried has ever stuck. Now, you might already see what this email is trying to do, but basically it's trying to take every single failure that the reader ever had, pat them on the back, and tell them that it's not their fault. So you take the desire that they already have, and you give them a brand new reason for why they keep failing. Because let's be honest, right? You could be the laziest person in the world, and you could know it deep in your heart, but you still get rage baited when your homie says something like that. So we never say it's their fault, even though most of the time it is. And now after we reframe the entire pass, we do a more direct CTA with a 20% discount. So in the 4th email on day 5, we actually introduce the offer properly, and we frame this as a free call with Dr. Sean. And honestly, I could go on a rant about, why you should talk about all the outcomes and not the features, all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I won't teach you direct response copywriting in like 30 minutes because it's going to be a waste of your time. So we just introduce the offer here, clearly stack all the benefits together, right? Talk about what is the main thing that people want, because people don't just want, this program or this challenge. They want one specific thing, one specific unlock that they have in life. And this is power, because Sean targets actually people that are making a lot of money. So business owners, right? Entrepreneurs, people that are tired of feeling sick. You can refer to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to really understand what is the main desire you should push for your audience. And because we've been building trust with the audience and shifting their beliefs in the past 3 emails, the offer just feels like a very clear, logical step for them. And this is especially important in today's market because everyone talks about $100 million offers and how important offers are. But to differentiate yourself right now, you need to sell yourself first before you even sell them on the offer itself. So now people know everything about the offer, why Sean is the right person to help them, and all we need to do right here is give them a clear reason for why they should act now. So the subject line can be just a countdown clock over here. Like for instance, at 59 minutes, 57 seconds, you're on the clock, and we give them a clear deadline to get the 20% discount. Now this will be the email that prints you the most money, but that's only because the previous 4 have set the correct frame for that. So that's the whole welcome sequence, and like I've already said, it's the structure that does most of the heavy lifting for us because we're walking the customer perfectly through all awareness levels, from unaware to problem aware, solution aware, product aware, most aware, and then they purchase. And before I move on, I just want to give you some quick source on subject lines, because if you mess this shit up, the copy inside the email could be written by Gary Halbert, which if you don't know is a copywriting legend, and it still won't perform, right? So each subject line needs to arouse curiosity in your audience's mind, to the point that they feel like they need to read the email, right? To not overcomplicate things. It's the equivalent of basically saying, we need to talk next time we see text from your girlfriend. And look, you can go ahead and build this entire thing for yourself because I just gave you the entire playbook for this. But the truth is that if you're an offer owner doing 30 to 50K per month and you don't have years to master copywriting and truly execute on this properly, and don't even get me started on, the backend stuff like segregation, setting up the CRM, tracking metrics, and properly analyzing them. So if you actually want to see how much this exact type of system would generate for your business and whether I can actually help you do it, you can book a call with me directly in the first link in the description. And worst case scenario, you just walk away with a clear roadmap on how to apply this in your specific niche for your specific audience, because this kind of changes a bit, right, based on those variables. Now, the drama story sequence handles the new people, but remember Sean had around 2,000 people on that list, and a big chunk of them had gone completely cold and hadn't opened anything from him in months. And most coaches just either don't care about these people at all or just blast them with new emails, which would then ruin their deliverability and get themselves trapped in spam. So we ran a simple re-engagement sequence on this date list, which had 6 emails over 2 weeks. And the strategy here is dead simple. The only thing I'm doing is pointing them at the value that already exists. Now, Sean here already has a ton of YouTube videos, podcasts, and content already made. And so I selected the best videos and podcasts that he created and just point people to them. So in each email, we want to point them towards one of these resources and we make people re-engage with Sean. And this works because, a click or reply actually tells the inbox provider that this person is actually alive and wants to see your emails. So in the first 4 emails, you want to build enough leverage that those people actually want to stay. And this is an example of a value-giving email. So just keep it short and sell the resource. Right? Everything here is to just sell this right here, right? With this adding authority, with this adding curiosity and benefits for the reader. Actionable steps decreases their effort and sacrifice. Our viewers love it, increases authority again, and makes people think that they're losing out if they don't watch the masterclass, and then just a very simple CTA. Now in the last 2 emails, you want to tell people who still have not read your emails to straight up unsubscribe if they don't want to see your emails, because number 1, you won't be able to sell them anything anyways, and number 2, we don't want to screw up our deliverability for no reward at all. So here's an example of a leave if you want email, super simple. Again, always give your audience a way to revive themselves. This means that every email you send should have some kind of action that they can take. Replying directly to the email, tapping a button to stay connected, clicking a link to a resource so that your ESP or email service provider can pick that up as an engagement event to automatically pull them out of the unengaged bucket and move them back into your active list. And the last system, which is not sexy at all, but one of the most important ones at scale, is just tracking your numbers properly. So every week I personally sit down and I look at all the metrics from Sean's emails, and that allows me to see a pattern of what works straight away. So for example, this email right here, we see that it got 3.6% click-through rate, right? So I'll sit down and just break down the main components of the email itself. So we zoom in, take a look at this. So for instance, for this email itself, we talked about fear of mistakes, which is pain point, sprinting, and it's about 100 words, leaving an open loop for them to click the video. And I know this gets us a high click-through rate. Right, in Sean's case, I know the second I talk about anything to do with sprinting or physical attraction, the open rates and click rates will be very, very high. And this is how over time you can create emails like this. This email generated us $3,500. Very, very simple email talking about how long does it take to get rid of visceral fat, which is the number 1 mechanism that we have sold the audience on, right? This came from our mid-ticket product, and this came from them booking a call with us to work one-to-one with Sean. So really just be consistent with the emails, look at what works and double down on that. So for example, right, after seeing how 8-minute apps performed right here, we wrote a second email about the side effects of a dad bod that performed even better than the original. It's the same thing for how to avoid injury while sprinting and how to build up to sprinting. That's how simple this is. But if you actually want to stay consistent, you need to get good ideas consistently. And instead of relying on some shitty ChatGPT or Claude prompts, you can literally look at your own YouTube channel, comments, and Reddit, and get angles that are really proven to work inside of your niche and audience. So this is how we literally found winning subject lines and ideas for Sean that way, and it's like the lowest hanging fruit. For instance, if someone comments stuff about like that, right, look at how many email ideas we can just create from this, right? And from Reddit as well. Now you might be wondering, this sounds great and all, but how do I actually write quick emails extremely quickly without having any copywriting knowledge at all? Well, there's just 5 things that you need to know, right? Number 1, write to a specific person. Literally every time you sit down, just picture one specific guy. Like for Sean's instance, it'll be one tired 45-year-old dude that is reading this on a toilet at 7 a.m. before work, constipated, right? Or whoever your ICP is basically. And just write to him like you're texting a homie. The second you type like, hey everyone, or hope you're all doing well, or some generic shit, you sound like a brand, which then puts you in the same category as hundreds of your competitors. So it's always talking to you, right? Never you guys. And this is like the marketing research that we perform for every single client that we work with. And the way that we do it for our clients is we literally have hundreds of pages of just market research. And then we create 1 to 5 extremely specific avatars that we then use to write every single piece of direct response copy around. Number 2, one email should just have one big idea and have one goal. If you're trying to target 5 different pain points inside of one email, then none of them are going to work because none will have enough power to really trigger that emotion and make someone click and ultimately buy. You have to pick one big idea, typically either a pain point or a dream state, build the whole email around it, and then give them one single thing to click. You need to remember that a confused buyer doesn't buy. Number 3, make them worth reading, even if they never buy a single thing from you. Right? 90% of the email should entertain them or genuinely help them, and only 10% of the email should sell. Because if your emails are actually fun to read, people open the next one out of pure habit and they're just getting 1% closer to buying with each one. Since being top of mind and having multiple touch points will always outperform the perfect sales message that they only see once. And what you can do that has worked really well for me is just put a very soft CTA in every email, even an entertainment email, right? And pro tip for you, because we're in a trust recession right now, instead of directing your emails to your VSL page, direct them to your YouTube videos instead to nurture them and only have them booked through YouTube. Number 4, write like you talk, and then literally try and remove as much as possible. You want to keep each line short and cue those, giant paragraphs that looks like a news article or something because people skim and they usually don't sit there reading every single word. Then what I do is I usually just read each email out loud before I send it just to be 100% sure that it actually has a very good flow. Number 5, make the click the next logical step. The whole email should naturally walk them towards the link. So by the time they get there, clicking just feels like the next obvious move. If you don't know how to write a very good CTA, the problem usually lies with not having a clear body that you can transition from. And the cheat code for all of this is to just swipe your own inbox and sign up to 3 to 5 email lists of someone from your niche. So anytime an email actually makes you stop and read, or straight up makes you buy something, just save it and reverse engineer what worked. That's what I did for Sean as well, because at the end of the day, we are all customers and we all follow the same psychological patterns. So do those few things on top of the structure I just showed you, and your emails will beat 95% of coaches in the niche, because most of them are still sending the most generic stuff that your ICP has seen thousands of times. So this is how we made Sean 12.5k off of just 5 emails. And none of this is hard, right? The emails are simple, the strategy is simple, and the order is the only thing that's probably complex in the whole thing, but I really give you that as well. So go build your drama story sequence, re-engagement sequence, and start tracking your metrics this week. Or if you'd rather have me and my team just build your entire email ecosystem so you make an extra $5 to $10 every month per email subscriber you have, without even touching your email inbox. The link's in the description, book the call, and I'll personally just map it out for you. So that's it for today's video, and see you in the next one.